You at least watch where you walk.
As if you could outrun me!
As if you could fight me off.
The days of you controlling my life are over.
We'll see about that.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Hello, my Jude crew, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Amber Rose, also known as the Religious Hippie. You can basically follow me on any social media platform, or you can go straight to my website at thereligioushippie.com. Today's topic is one that has been on my nerves for a very long time, and that is the glorification of toxic relationships in society and Hollywood. And I want to talk about that today because I feel like there's just constantly bad examples of relationships in society and social media and TV shows, etc. And I want to point those out to you guys so you guys are aware that these are in fact not healthy things you do in a relationship and things like that. Anyways, point is, I have my little baby coffee here today. Let's just jump right into this video. We live in a world, a beautiful world, but a world that tends to like to romanticize toxic and problematic relationships.
I'm still that girl. Okay, nothing's changed.
Yes, it has. I'm your teacher.
It's in movies, it's in TV shows, it's on social media, it's literally everywhere. You really can't avoid it. And I think we've all gotten a little desensitized to these things, or we laugh it off and we think it's just a joke. But we're just constantly fed that this dysfunction, this drama, and this emotional chaos are just a part of what it means to be in love. But dysfunction ain't cute. Okay? It's dangerous, both physically and spiritually to us. Honestly, it's just time that we stopped glorifying these unhealthy dynamics as passionate and loving. It's not. It's not. Don't lie to me, okay? I'm not dumb. I know when I see hate and I know when I see love, and that ain't love, sweetie. Media and pop culture have created this completely false narrative about what a real relationship looks like. TV shows like Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey romanticize this manipulative behavior, this controlling behavior, and they patent it as passionate love. And then, of course, you have these social media trends where social media influencers are love bombing, they're pranking their significant other, and they're gaslighting their significant other. And this is considered to be a quirky relationship. That ain't a quirk. That is a red flag. There are so many influencer couples who parade their relationship around online like, oh, look at us, we have the perfect relationship. But when you actually start looking at their relationship or they reveal too much, you realize how toxic their relationship actually is. And I don't even have to name any names. You guys could probably think of a handful right off the top of your heads of influencers. And it's really weird how glorified this is and how dysfunctional it is and how people are like, oh my gosh, these people are so real and this is like my life and la 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 la. Wake up. This is not a real relationship. This is not a healthy relationship. We're told that if there isn't some sort of emotional roller coaster or sex outside of marriage or drama in general, that this isn't real love. Okay, but like, what is that actually teaching us? When we actually consume content that glorifies dysfunctional relationships, like, what was that one movie where she gets like kidnapped? I think it's in a different language. I don't know. I think it's called like 365 or something. Oh, it's called 365 Days, where like she's kidnapped and coerced into dating this guy. It's really, really messed up. And I remember watching a video like summarizing this whole movie. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like super abusive. And all of these women were like, oh my gosh, relationship goals. You want to be kidnapped and coerced into loving your kidnapper? Wow, so romantic. There's that movie, but then there's other movies and TV shows like Pretty Little Liars. And the whole unhealthy power dynamics, the fact that, Ari started dating her teacher. I'm gonna be honest, I do believe that Pretty Little Liars was grooming us, not gonna lie. But we really do start believing that this emotional manipulation, that this possessive behavior is normal, even desirable. You should be looking for those traits in a boyfriend or girlfriend. And something else that I've noticed is like emotional abuse, manipulation, and disrespect. They kind of treat it just as a part of the game of dating. It's just like, oh, you should just expect this when you start dating. It's just normal. It's just how everybody is. And it's like, huh? And that's completely untrue, and it's incredibly harmful, especially to the young girls and men who watch these TV shows, who watch these movies. And I'm not saying you should be watching these movies. I'm not gonna lie, I love a good Twilight moment. My husband and I, we have watched Twilight quite often, and we watch it ironically. We don't watch it because we're like, oh my gosh, Team Edward and Team Jacob. We watch it because we're like, Team Charlie. That man went through some stuff. Again, I'm not saying you should go and watch these movies in general, but this type of relationship dynamic is everywhere today. You can't escape it. A true, holy, and God-centered relationship isn't built on drama and dysfunction. Let me repeat that again. A God-centered relationship, a holy relationship, is not built on drama and dysfunction. It is, however, built on mutual respect, self-sacrifice, patience, kindness. It's about two people working towards holiness, not tearing each other down or trying to win at each other's expense. I cannot tell you the amount of times I have watched influencers play pranks on each other and clearly the other person was not okay. How is that healthy? Ugh. But yeah, so okay, the cheating stuff. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've ever loathed a trend more than the influencers playing pranks on each other, cheating pranks. Pranks in general, where you hurt the other person or it's just unkind, is just to your significant other for clicks or bait or whatever. It just, no. It's one thing if it's completely scripted, but most of these aren't because they want genuine reactions. But the thing is that cheating has been rewarded and glorified in TV shows and movies for years. Like, just think of a typical Hallmark movie during Christmas time. She's engaged to a really rich guy. She goes back to her hometown, falls in love with this guy, breaks up, and, she cheated on her fiance. And now all of a sudden she gets to open a little bakery and we're supposed to root for these people.
So, how's Roger? He's great. Our relationship makes sense. We're great partners. We get each other. And with Roger, everything's clear. He's reliable, stable.
5 minutes later.
I'd ask you what you were gonna do, but I think I know what you're gonna say.
Roger, I'm sorry. I want you back in my life.
I mean, genuinely, how many times have you watched a movie and the storyline has a cheater in it and we're meant to root for them? I mean, there's just so many shows where cheating is just a part of the messy, dramatic love story. Characters get forgiven, relationships are rekindled, and the whole fallout is usually brushed off as like some sort of mistake or whatever. It's not a mistake. Cheating is a choice. And it's just so crazy to me that there are so many people out there that just think it's normal or okay because society has normalized it or glorified it. I mean, you can even think of movies like The Notebook. How many women do I know who are obsessed with The Notebook, where Allie is literally engaged to a good man? A good man who's stable, who doesn't blow up at her. They don't fight. He's a good guy. He went to war. He came back. He proposed. They went out together. I mean, she was engaged to him. This was a good, solid guy who had a good job, who loved her. And she threw all of that away for a summertime fling. And we're supposed to root for that? Excuse me? I mean... Ooh. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good Ryan Gosling. All right, I do. But it's still not healthy. I cannot stress enough how much that these narratives warp our understanding of loyalty and commitment. They condition us to believe that relationships are made up of fighting, cheating, breaking up, like that whole thing, like that is what a normal relationship has. And yet, when it does actually happen to us, we feel terrible. We feel neglected. We feel like this is not how love is supposed to be, but we're gaslit by society, TV shows, Hollywood, movies, etc., telling us, no, this is totally normal and your feelings are just, this is normal, this is how it is, and this is just how you have to deal with it. And like I said, social media is also a huge part of that with the whole pranks and everything, but also music. I mean, how many songs have gone viral that glamorize cheating? And then, of course, there's other influencers who are open about their infidelity and decide to coin it as their growth journey. Sweetie, that is growth in the wrong direction. Cheating today in movies and TV shows and everything is just viewed as oh, that's just something that happens. Like, that's kind of normal. We can even predict it sometimes. And I think that's really sad because instead of portraying it as the betrayal that it really is, people are just buying into the fact that this is what a healthy relationship looks like. We are all taught to think that jealousy is romantic, that cheating proves how irresistible somebody is, and that fighting over a person is how you show them you care.
I'm tired of this. From now on, I'm Switzerland, okay?
It is insane how desensitized we have gotten to something so hurtful and sinful. Love does not lie. Love does not sneak around. Love does not choose selfish desire over the well-being of the beloved. And I mean, okay, look, none of us are perfect, right? We're all sinners. We're all working out our salvation every single day. And we're all trying to strive for holiness, hopefully. Hopefully we're all trying to do that. But we cannot pretend that toxic relationships and cheating are okay just because society tries to normalize it and try to patent it as like exciting. A holy relationship, one that reflects Christ, is honest, faithful, committed, and it seeks the good of the other person. It's not just about temporary gratification. I love looking at 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, it's not manipulative, it doesn't stir up conflict just for the thrill of it. True love is grounded in peace, in the desire for the good of the other, and in seeking to help each other grow in virtue. And honestly, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. I'm on my script, but I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. As somebody who is a babysitter, who watches many young girls grow up over the years, I have seen the impact of their favorite celebrities and how their celebrities date and carry themselves and how that impacts them and how they want to date and portray themselves, etc. It's like as soon as a celebrity turns 18, it's just boom, full on. They have to get rid of their childish demeanor. So all they do is post basically nudes and they start becoming serial daters. Granted, that's not all of them, but it is a very strong trend that we have seen. And it does impact the younger generation when they see these people who they look up to who are serial daters and they post borderline pornographic imagery on their Instagrams and YouTube channels, if they have YouTube, all of that stuff. It really is hurting the younger generation. And look, none of us are perfect, like I said, and no relationship is perfect. All relationships have their challenges because we're human. That's kind of how these things go. But when we ignore the toxic behavior, we are ignoring the damage it does to our hearts and our minds and ultimately our souls in the end. And a holy relationship is not about what you get out of it, what the other person is giving you, but what you're putting in. What are you giving the other person? When both people do that in a relationship, it blossoms. When Christ is at the center of the relationship, it grows into something beautiful. Oh, I love ranting. It's so great. But I guess I'll get off my soapbox now. And like I say in almost every video at this point, we are not a channel of despair. We are a channel of joy, but we still have to point out the bad things in the culture today.
Designed to kill.
I don't care.
I've killed people before.
It does not matter.
I want to give you guys some tips, some tools, etc. to avoid these toxic relationships in your own life, what to look for, etc. The first thing I want to tell you is that healthy people do exist out there, and they're also worth fighting for. A holy relationship, for I guess an example I can give you guys, is Aragorn and Arwen from The Lord of the Rings. Their love is patient, it's enduring, it's sacrificial. Arwen willingly gives up her immortality to be with Aragorn. This wasn't out of desperation. She did it because she knew that loving him means sharing his burdens and supporting his calling as king. It is a love that serves the other, not a love that demands or controls. Because the healthy relationships really aren't about these giant grand gestures or love bombing or anything like that. They're about small, consistent acts of love, choosing patience over irritation, forgiveness over grudges, selflessness over pride. They're built on trust and honesty and a shared commitment on helping to get each other to heaven. And if you're dating or you know that your vocation is marriage, make sure you are paying attention to these red flags that Hollywood is trying to glamorize. And ultimately, the goal of having a Christ-centered relationship is to reflect the love of Christ has for his church. It's faithful, endearing, sacrificial. Don't settle for less. Don't buy the lie that dysfunction equals love. You are worthy of a relationship that honors God and brings you closer to Him. So make sure you are receiving the sacraments, working on your personal relationship with God, going to Mass on Sundays, and honestly, as often as you can, going to adoration, etc. All of that stuff is going to be so, so important. Because yeah, I am just so exhausted from having to just turn on any TV show that I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good. Like, yeah, whatever. And it just ends up being like everything else: infidelity, cheating, drama, this, that. It's just, what? Why is this? Why is this what they're shoving in our faces? And part of it, you could argue, is because they're trying to destroy the nuclear family, and they've been kind of good at that since they introduced the dad being the idiot trope in the early, when did that start? I want to say maybe the 60s is when that kind of started. I don't know. Somebody correct me in the comments. But yeah, you could say that they were trying to destroy the nuclear family, and what better way to do that than to kind of just push this narrative and this propaganda. Makes sense when you start thinking about it a little bit harder. But just know that there are good people out there, but we also have a responsibility to become those good people. We can't just be automatically like, well, I'm a good person, I'm already fine, like I'm perfect to date, like I'm this and that. Usually someone who says that is actually not ready to date. Humility is really key in these types of situations and in relationships and when dating. Humility is very, very attractive to both sexes. So don't assume that you are fine and you are perfectly ready to date, etc. We always should be working on ourselves, always striving for holiness, always striving to do better. And some obvious red flags to look out for, I'm actually just coming up with these on the top of my head because these are the most common ones that my female Jude crew have emailed me about, and that is kidults in general. And I think this goes for women as well. Women can also be very childish, but people who refuse to accept responsibility, spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year on toys, lightsabers, Marvel, etc. You know, all of collecting Legos, all of that stuff. Just being obsessed with a certain hobby to the extent that it just consumes them. They spend 6 hours on gaming, etc., and they're neglecting their spouse, they're neglecting their job, it's just a mess, right? So that's one of the big ones. The second one is emotional maturity. If you cannot disagree with this person without it going into a big argument, a big fight every single time.
I'm moving to New York.
I am so powerful. My mind, it amazes me sometimes.
That is a red flag. And that goes for both of you. If you have issues with confrontation, with disagreements and stuff, you have to work on that. You guys should be able to come together, discuss your differences, find a middle ground, and work through it together. Unless it's like genuinely toxic or something and it's like a deal breaker. That's completely different. Number 3, they act one way in front of you and another way in front of their friends.
Sandy! Teddy? What are you doing here? I can't... Well, that's cool, baby.
They should be the same person they are with you as they are with their friends. If they're not, there's something fishy going on there. Number 4, they have an addiction of some type. This could be to nicotine. This could be to masturbation. This could be to alcohol. This could be to even caffeine. No, I am not addicted to caffeine. I can quit whenever I want, okay, guys? I'm just kidding. This is actually decaf coffee, but it'd be really funny if I was addicted to caffeine. I'm gonna be honest, but hasn't happened yet. An addiction in general needs to be completely uprooted or at least be worked on. And you have to be working on it actively, not just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work on it. Like it's something I wanna like uproot or whatever, but not actually take too seriously. It has to be something you genuinely are trying to fix. You should not be bringing another person into your sin. You should be working on your sin or be over your sin before you bring another person in. And I think the most common one is pornography, masturbation. That is actually cheating. So I highly suggest getting a confessor or a spiritual director and being able to work through that and actually be on the mend from that before putting yourself in the dating pool. Am I on number 5 now? I guess I'm on number 5. I don't know. Number 5, they constantly try and push past your boundaries in terms of purity. I probably get like maybe 3 emails a week on this specific topic where guys and girls are emailing me telling me about how their boyfriend or girlfriend wants to have sex before marriage, or they want to make out, or they want to push past these purity boundaries, and they're just not comfortable with it, but they don't know how to kind of push back without potentially this person having a big blow up. That is a huge red flag. Your relationship, again, should point you towards Christ, not away from him. And you guys need to talk about these boundaries together and come to an actual understanding and agreement that these are not things you're going to do, or if one person starts going too far, the other person has to keep them accountable, etc. It doesn't mean you guys don't slip up, especially if that has been a reoccurring sin, because it can be really hard to root that out, but it does mean you do everything you possibly can to not fall into that sin again. If that means having to be around family when you hang out or around in public spaces, you just have to really take that seriously. But your boyfriend or girlfriend should not be pressuring you to go past your boundaries. That's not okay. You need to have a relationship where there's mutual respect, mutual understanding. You guys are communicating well together. I think communication really is key, and you hear that all the time from dating coaches and people like that, but it is true. You have to have good communication. If you cannot communicate with the person you are dating, there is a problem there. And problems do not go away if you get married. They get magnified. And that's not to scare anyone. That is just the truth. You have to root out these problems and you have to get past these things in order to have a Christ-centered relationship. But there are good people out there. You can go to your church, your local Newman Center, or pro-life events where there are plenty of Catholic people. I have met so many amazing Catholic people at all of those places. And I met my husband at our youth group at our church, Pray for your future spouse if that is what you are called to. And if you are not called to it, or you're not sure and you're single right now, it's probably a good time to discern religious life. That's what I did, and I found out very quickly that religious life was not for me. I mean, I always felt called to marriage, but God really was just like, dude, I've literally laid out all the signs for you that you're called to marriage, and you're still discerning religious life. And I was like, yep, I am. Point is, it was not for me at all. And I have huge amounts of respect for the religious sisters and nuns who that is their vocation, mad respect. But anyways, I'm going to stop rambling now. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Please be respectful as always, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.